Okay, perfect. Hey, you guys, good evening. Happy Monday. I am super excited to be here as the Boom Squad trainer this evening. For those of you I haven't met yet, my name is Kimberly Hawkins. I'm an independent consultant, national vice president. I'm direct to Ms. Shannon Blass, and super just love that we all come together. I think this collective mastermind of skills and just making each other better is what this business is all about. So I am really honored to be here tonight and excited to I feel like we've just had, you guys, we have kind of the cream of the crop of trainers and like the wisdom we get and the ideas. So I really hope you prioritize these calls every single week. If you're not able to be on live, make sure you don't miss the recording because I'm just every week taking notes and learning so much. I'm excited for tonight's call. And it's a lot, you guys, but I really think it's going to be valuable. This call is going to leave you with homework. And I really encourage you to do the work to get to the other side of this. I am currently going through it's called Pathfinder's Apprenticeship. It's a business mentorship program that my church offers. And so it's biblical business mentorship. It has been really pushing me outside of my comfort zone. It's a lot, but in the best ways possible. And I feel like I'm learning so much. And so much of it, I feel like is applicable to what we do. And in this case, really applicable. And I really want to share. So I entitled this Goals and Gains and cracking the code on how to actually set goals, because we've had a ton of we do it every month, right? Like a lot of you probably write your goals on your whiteboard, send them to your upline. Like it's been embedded in us that this is part of the business. And it absolutely is. To have success in any area of life, we have to know where we want to go. We have to be able to see it. You have to have a vision. But a lot of times, if we're missing our goals, it creates a cycle of frustration and giving up. And I see it so much in my own team. I've seen it in myself, you guys, or you throw something out there and you're just kind of hoping it sticks. There's not really any logic behind it. It's like, I want this many PCs, I'm going to hit this, I want this bonus, whatever, with no action steps surrounding it. So we're going to get to all of that, but I want to start by talking about if we are experiencing limited results, it's probably connected to this, to the head trash, to the limiting beliefs. And you've heard this, you guys, we've done so much. Half of what we do in Arbonne is mindset, right? And I feel like there are two types of people. There are people that are mindset people. And a lot of times, and hopefully we're all somewhere in the middle, or that's our goal, is to land in between these two. But a lot of us either tend towards the mindset stuff. You're a podcast junkie, you never miss a training, you are at every conference, but maybe you're not necessarily a person of action. Or there are the habits focused people that are hyper intense, like trying to change the action to control the result. So you're the people who do 75 hard. You're constantly maybe you get into really intense cycles of activity in your business, but you don't see results. And it's like we have to bridge the gap between the two of those so that your beliefs, the things you believe about this business, about yourself, about what's possible, about what you're capable of, is actually tied to the action you're taking. And then when that happens, you're going to see the results you want. So it's like, okay, how do we get there? First of all, take responsibility. Take responsibility for exactly where we are in our business. I think we all, this business ebbs and flows like everything in life. So, but being real with yourself and being real, not just about where you are, but what you've been doing, I think is absolutely key. You guys, we don't control the results, and you have to come to terms with that. But what do you control? We control what we do. We control what we think, which controls what we believe. So you've probably all seen the be, do, have. So your have, that's your results. But if you reverse engineer that, it's basically what you think and then what you believe about yourself and this business, which controls what you're going to do, what actions you're going to take, which ultimately yields the results we're getting. So take responsibility for it. Let's see, affirmations, you guys, we've talked a lot about this, and we're going to do a fun, and I'm going to kick off just like really just sharing this. I'm going to screen share and go through this. But affirmations are fantastic until they're not. And they're not because you don't believe them. Right. So we all need to be trying to saturate our brains with like positivity and what's true and like, stop feeding ourselves. Who listens to Ed Milet, the reticular activating system? He says it all the time. Like, whatever the most dominant thought is in your head, you will find evidence to make that true. So obviously, we want to replace that with things that are positive, things that are encouraging, things that like build our beliefs in ourselves. But if you don't believe it, if I am standing in the mirror saying I am a 12 wide ENVP, I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Like, what are you doing? And that doesn't make me move. It doesn't make me act. It makes me feel like crazy a little bit. So how can we do this in a way that will actually change what we believe about ourselves and our business? So this is part of your homework, and I'm going to walk through this with you. And I'm going to relate this to Arbonne, but you guys, I really encourage you to do this activity around every area of your life that you feel there's a big opportunity for growth. I feel like it's such a incredible exercise. So I'm going to screen share for a second. We're going to do this together, you guys. Okay. So when we talk about limiting beliefs, in this case, I'm going to use Arbonne because that's why we're here, right? So we're just going to say our Arbonne business is not where we want it to be. So when you're thinking about your Arbonne business not being where you want it to be, I don't know if I'm going to be able to see the chat. But I would love for you to throw out like any feelings, like when you think about not being where you want to be in your business, what feelings come to mind? What comes into your head? I cannot see the chat, so I would love for you guys to share just so we can go back to it, but I'm just going to throw some out. Discouragement. Anybody ever feel shame surrounding their business? Rejection. Lack of motivation. Okay, I'm sure we could keep going. If you have others, I blow the chat up. Get it out, girls. But we are going to go through these. So I want you to pretend that each of these feelings is a person. And that person just walked into your room, into your office, into your house right now. What does discouragement say to you about your business? What does discouragement say? Is anybody if anybody's willing to share, I would love it. Otherwise, I'm going to pull mine up and I'm just going to get real.
Kimberly, I will.
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Heather. Tell me what discouragement says.
Discouragement walks in and is like, you can't do this, right? Like, this isn't for you. This is for all the other people can do this, but not for people like you.
Yeah. Okay. How about I just keep you here, Heather Solomon? You want to do this together?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay. I have some too. So yeah, my discouragement says everyone quits.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to add that here too.
Like, why try? Everybody's going to quit. Like, why do you keep doing this?
Why try? Okay. What about shame? What does shame say when he walks in?
Shame says, well, that's pretty typical. You knew you couldn't do it. And I mean, nobody really makes it to the top anyway. So I don't know why you thought you'd be any different.
Why would you be any different?
Or maybe just like, I knew you wouldn't succeed. Like that shameful, like, ugh.
Yeah. Or people are watching you fail.
Mm-hmm.
That one.
Are you even still doing this? Are you still even like doing Arbonne?
We'll put that one in lack of motivation.
Yeah.
Are you still doing this? Are you still doing this? Who does it really work for? Maybe the haters are right. What about rejection? For me, like I will literally hear, and it's just, I know what it is, the enemy when you're going to like reach out to somebody that you could literally change their life. But you will hear that like, you're going to totally annoy her if you text her. Or what's she going to think when she gets your message? Does anybody ever have that head trash? Yeah. Okay.
Of course, you know, you can say like, of course they're not answering you. This was, you know, this is your thing, not theirs. She's too successful to do something like this.
Okay. We have enough, you guys, and I'm not going to stay here long because I want to move on to everything we have. But instead of, thank you, Heather, instead of telling yourself I'm a 12 wide ENVP when you're trying to get to district manager, why don't you take this stuff that we all have, and this might not be exactly yours, but you have it, you have something that is on replay in your head every day, and invert it. Hey, you have to identify it in order to invert it. But then you can take exactly what you're saying and flip it. So Heather, I'm going to ask you again. If you'll be vulnerable, we'll do it together.
Sure.
If discouragement, if you invert that, what is the truth? Can you do this?
Well, of course you can do this. You just have, you know what you have to do. You just have to do it.
Right.
Right.
And you could also say, I have had massive success in Arbonne. As Heather Solomon, I have had incredible success in Arbonne. I can absolutely do this. I am proof that this business works. You guys, everybody's going to be different. It's not about the fact that Heather's a VP. You know, this isn't for people like you. This is absolutely, I was born to do this. Things like that.
Well, and where it says everyone quits, like I didn't, and Kimberly didn't, and
Right.
you know, Allison Reed didn't, and I'm looking down the line and I'm like, so everyone doesn't quit.
Right. And it's like, you know, the right people stay in this business. I am proof that this business works. You guys, if you go through all of these and invert it, you will have the most badass list of empowering beliefs. And I did it for like a lot of areas of my life. But I'm going to read you guys, and I was not planning to do this, but I'm going to, just my Arbonne ones that I've written. And because I don't want to spend a ton of time like trying to reverse these. God has called me to Arbonne and blessed my journey. This business is bigger than me. I am impacting thousands of women with my commitment. I am committed to excellence. I am a leader of leaders. I will not be outworked. I do what most people are unwilling to do. I am called and equipped by God. I changed the narrative surrounding network marketing. I am writing my comeback story and inspiring others. I'm a professional. I'm a leader. My business is respected by others. This business has changed my life and I'm called to give it away. This business model is brilliant. I'm building an asset and legacy income. I was made to be a top-tier leader and trainer in Arbonne. People are flattered and excited to hear from me. Okay, I wrote a lot. I can post them if you want to hear it. But literally, I wrote them all out. I inverted everything that I was telling myself, and I recorded myself in my voice memo and gave myself enough time to say it back to myself. That's my affirmations now. You guys, if you will do this, you can do it around your health. You can do it around weight issues. You can do it around your marriage. You can do it around finances. But any of the head trash, you've got to tackle that stuff you tell yourself if you want to have lasting success. Because otherwise, if your success is just like activity based and like you grind it, you'll get there and then you still won't think you're worthy of it. And so you most likely won't be able to hold it. And so if you'll do the hard work, like the deep stuff on your journey, it's going to be like beautifully in tandem. Okay. I'm going to keep going, you guys. That's a lot, but I feel like in order to get really where you want to be in terms of goal setting, you've got to know what's really holding you back in your head. Okay, so goal setting. Now we're going to kind of switch gears and get into like actually planning and executing. So first, back to awareness, like identifying where you are, not just where you are, but what's possible. What's possible in Arbonne? What do you truly believe is possible? And then what do you believe is possible for you? Because and that might go back to a little bit of head trash, you guys, because if you feel like Debbie Neal can have extreme success, but you can't, you need to figure that out. But you also, maybe you're like, okay, I know that it's possible to be a 12 wide ENVP, but I'm unwilling to do that work. Like, be real with yourself. Say, I would absolutely love what's possible for me in this busy season is to be a thriving area manager and still crushing it at home and crushing it in all areas of life. That's what's possible for me. And get real with yourself. That's okay. We don't all have to have the same goals. Intentionality. So this is a big one, and we're going to base our goals off of this. So I really want you to give it some thought. Working smarter. So like 20% of the things we do in our Arbonne business are truly yielding about 80% of the results. So if you think about everything we do as Arbonne consultants, what really moves the needle forward? And where does your time need to go? We're going to circle back to this, but I want you to be thinking about that. Reflect on your last week. How'd you show up last week, last month, last year, your entire Arbonne training? Like, actually take some time and reflect. And what would you like to improve on? But also, what are you really proud of? And give yourself like get real and raw with yourself, and then adapt and do it in a way that you're actually like, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to change? And I heard this quote recently that if you just set an intention and say you're going to do something, I'm going to work my business for an hour a day. I'm going to do 3 reach outs a day, whatever it is for you. If you say you're going to do something, you have there's 30% likely to do it. You're 30% likely to do it. If you get hyper specific and name the time and the place, it goes up to 80%. If you will put it on your calendar and make an appointment with yourself and say, in these little pockets of time, I know we have a beautiful, flexible business, you guys, and we do, but you've got to prioritize it. Just because it's flexible doesn't mean it's the last priority. It can be the first, but it's got to be, you have to be able to identify when and where you're going to work it. Okay, so we're going to go back to the chat. I would love for you guys to put in some of your goals. What are your goals for the rest of the month of February? Arbonne has given us so much, you guys. We have free signups with the free gift. You have free renewals. I don't know if everybody's expired PC list looks like mine, but if so, you've got some work to do. Arbonne has given us so much. The Derm set. February can be fabulous. What are your February goals? Do you want to throw in what are your 2024 goals? Do you want a promotion? Like, what are your goals? Okay, so get clear on that. If you don't want to type them in, give them to yourself. And one thing I'm going to ask you to do is tonight or tomorrow, I want you to get really clear and write out like a 10-year vision for your Arbonne business specifically. Where do you want your business to be in 10 years? What do you want to have created? What do you want it to have done for your life, for your family's life? What type of team do you envision having? How will this business impact your team? What are you going to do to serve others through this business? 10 years. Where do you want to be? And that is less of goals, you guys. That's your vision. So and I think a lot of times that's where I had been confused forever, because I really didn't know the difference in vision and goals. And I think that a vision is, we hear it all the time. It's what keeps people going. Without vision, people perish. Like, it's imperative in all areas of our lives to like have that forward thinking mindset and be able to see what is possible. But why do people not meet goals? because they are outcome and results driven. And that leads to a cycle of frustration. So instead of making your goals your vision, your goals have to be something you can control. It's the only way to truly be able to grade yourself, to be able to see if you're doing what you said you were going to do, and to be able to achieve them. It's the only way we can control it. So when we break this down into Arbonne, like at first I'm thinking, okay, I want, even this month, like in our little chat, like we're throwing out goals, like what is it this month? And I'm like, this many PCs, this many da da da. And ultimately, can you yourself, by yourself, control how many PCs you sign up? Can you control how many ICs? Can you control how many people get into qualification for anything? You absolutely cannot. So you have to take a step back and like, okay, that's my vision for this month. What do I do? How do I enroll PCs? What are the things I do? Okay, maybe you are great on social media. Maybe your posts yield a lot of signups. It's not my reality, you guys. My reality is personal conversations, getting in front of people, asks, our surveys. Like we all are going to have areas that we shine that are our 20% that yield 80% of results. But if you're spending your time, your 1 hour in Arbonne or whatever you've committed to on the other 80%, on the stuff that doesn't move the needle forward, you're frustrating yourself because you're not doing the things that you need to do to change your business. So, like, are you busy or are you productive? I'm going to take a second and just read a quick thing from a book that I read this morning, and it just seemed really applicable. Just because one is not idle does not mean one is actually working. It's actually quite easy to keep busy, but you must be sure you're busying yourself with the task for which you're actually being paid. So IPAs is what we would call them in Arbonne. There was a man who worked for me as a sales professional, new employee who used to produce the most beautiful graphs and charts. His job was to seek out new customers. Several times a week, I would ask him, when are you going to get started on those sales calls? He had yet to do one. He told me he had just finished a chart of all the potential customers in the region. The next day, he gave me a chart with colors and tables and references. It was beautiful. I didn't even know how he had made it. I asked him, are you now ready to make sales calls? He shook his head no. I've got to do a graph that'll show me which are the potentially most profitable customers. He said, nodding his head and excited about his work. He soon brought a graph detailing where he could find the best customers. The thing about this man was he was always busy. I went by his office. He was always working. I never saw him around the water cooler, hanging out at the break room. He was working and working always. But guess what? We fired him. He wasn't doing what he must do. He was doing what he wanted to do. He loved playing with Excel and making graphs and charts. He wasn't producing any value at all because he wasn't doing what needed to be done when it had to be done. He wasn't doing what we hired him to do. This is not the mark of a professional. Resist the temptation to do only what you want and do what you must, and you will find the favor of your employer, your fellow man, and God. I feel like it's so us in Arbonne. Obviously, we don't have a boss. Nobody's going to fire us except ourselves. And you get frustrated enough that you can fire yourself on the regular. I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but it's like, are we doing the things that actually matter? And you have to get like, I will get so caught up. I have loved, and I don't mean any like disrespect at all to all the Canva wizards on this channel. You guys, I love it. I love what we're learning, but it will suck like so much time out of me. I am not Shannon Wenzel. And so like she can like work it up so fast. And I'm like, my newsletter, I'm getting it there, but that's time for me. And then it takes time to get it out in email form or whatever. I don't really get a lot of feedback from my clients on my newsletter. But if I sit down and grab my 90-day journal and I know that like I'm reaching out to these clients, these people that are expired, starting these new conversations, and I have done enough preparation to fill it in advance, I know exactly what I'm doing, and I can actually feel good about how I spent my Arbonne time that day. And then when I have extra time on those days, that's when I need to do the newsletter. That's when I get creative on posts. So, okay. I think that's the majority of all of it. So just making, and I would love to hear like in the chat, like if there are things that you're like, okay, this absolutely yields the most results for me, and this is what doesn't. So your specific homework, I want you to go through your limiting beliefs, especially in your Arbonne business. If you want to tackle it for other areas of your life, I think it's fabulous. Come up with your empowering beliefs and type them out. If you want to record yourself saying them, I think it's the easiest way because you can just do it while you're driving in the car and press play and repeat them back to yourself. And when you're recording it on the voice memo, you're totally going to feel like you're Debbie Neal when she does her affirmations ones. Then you like say it and then you pause and wait. It's very Debbie Neal vibes. And then write out your vision. But then I want you to write out of your goals, your action goals for the next 90 days. So you have your 10-year vision, reverse it back to 5 years. So if this is where I want to be in 10 years, where do I need to be in 5 years to be tracking for that? And then what about 3 years? And then what about a year from now? Next February, where do I want to be in my business? And what can I do in the next 90 days? You guys, we work in 90-day cycles. And if you will commit to activity that actually moves the needle for multiple 90-day cycles this year, you can be in a totally different place. You can actually be in a different place in 90 days with consistency. But getting really, really clear and being very, you hear it in Arbonne, attach yourself to the activity, not the outcome. But we don't really like put it into practice. I want us to start putting it into practice. Like be proud of yourself for what you do, and the results will come if you'll do it consistently. So hopefully this will help eliminate that frustration. Anyway, okay, I've not looked at, oh, Shannon Wenzel has news. What does that mean? Do you want to unmute? Do you have news? Are you pregnant? Just kidding.
Holy goodness, you guys. No, I meant I have news for you. I both have to do all the random stuff and still have to do client reach outs. It's not one or the other. It's not like I bang out newsletters and do social media and now my clients just do all the things I want them to do. That's absolutely not the case. It's like,
Right.
It's an additional work.
Yes. I just meant that you're a whiz on Canva, and what takes me an hour takes you 10 minutes or less. Client reach outs must come first. Okay, you guys. Thank you for being on. It's 5:30, so we can wrap. But I hope this was helpful, and I hope everybody has a great week, and we will see you next Monday. Bye, you guys.